there used to be like, if you will, firewalls in between accounts, right? So if I had a franchise and I had 10 locations, every location has its own HubSpot instance and nobody talks to each other because of the firewall. And so what this multi-account management feature is going to do is drop those firewalls so that you're able to report data over globally all of my accounts, or maybe just two. I want to see how two franchises are doing against each other. It's going to allow you to not only share that data, but asset copying. So this landing page for company A, gangbusters, right? It did so good. We got a lot of inbound leads from it. We're going to try it at company D. You can just think that information over. So the workload is going to be less for your team. We're that fast, right? And more unified because you're going to be able to see across brands and across locations really how things are going and make better decisions for your sales and marketing and service teams across your entire organization.
Hey, Jackie.
Hi, how are you?
Awesome. So good to have you on the show. And I know one of the places in the US I was always fascinated about as a kid was Cape May. And I know you're calling in from Cape May today. That's kind of cool.
I am. We're at the Jersey Shore.
That's right. Very cool. I'm looking forward to hearing more about that on another conversation. But
yeah.
We're here today to talk about HubSpot's 2025 Spring Spotlight. That all came out last Thursday. You know, all the new sort of product additions that were announced by HubSpot last Thursday, and we've had a few days now to sort of dig into some of these. A lot of very exciting stuff. At a high level, you know, HubSpot is leaning into their slogan of easy, fast, and unified. And a lot of what they're talking about here is really leaning into the fast and a little bit into the unified. Let's just dive into what are you excited about?
So I'm really excited about, I think, unified, because, you know, fast is a complex word that can mean many things. And we know when they're talking about fast in their positioning, they mean like a fast ROI, right? So digging into the software and getting a lot of value at it quickly. But the unified to me is super cool because it's enabling different pieces of HubSpot to work for me in like my zone, right? Because like as a sales rep and a user of HubSpot, like I stay in my zone and don't always get insight into things that are happening in the services ticket line or things that are happening in marketing email automation. And I think some of these new releases in the Spring Spotlight are going to give all of us a more holistic view of what's happening, not only in our software, but for our clients.
And were there any sort of specific products that you were excited about? You know, I know, you know, at Dynamico, you know, we're one of the sort of the minority of partners that are focused on the mid-market sector, you know, focusing primarily on, you know, manufacturing and franchises and the AEC space. So, you know, compared to other platforms, which of course is typically what happens, especially in the mid-market, is companies are comparing, you know, Salesforce and Dynamics to HubSpot. And you know what we see every quarter is more and more of those mid-market businesses are choosing HubSpot. And I think some of the product announcements, like for me specifically, were like very, very cool. Like, you know, the what was the one that so in the Marketing Hub Enterprise, which is again what a mid-market company is more likely to use as a hub.
Yes, the multi-account management.
Yeah,
I'm super really cool.
Very, very cool. Anyway, so what are you thinking about there for the mid-market sort of clients and I guess prospective clients?
Well, when we're talking about like mid market, I think fast is a really exciting term for them to hear because we see a lot of times in our line of work, right, when we're helping clients optimize and set up and implement their software, that failure of adoption is a very high rate. I think the statistic we talked to is like you fail at your CRM adoption 2 times before you succeed, right? And so in order to do it fast and to get that ROI that you need, I think mid-market companies that we work with, like manufacturing, AEC, and franchise, the quicker time to value, the easy setup and adoption um, that they're going to have with HubSpot is going to be beyond some of these other softwares out there. And I think, like we talked earlier, like that unified system and partner ecosystem, right? Meaning that like everything is in one stack. You don't have to add different pieces and tech stacks to combine together in the mid market space, which you have to do with some other softwares to really get the holistic use of a product. Everything is going to be built into HubSpot for you. And it really allows your team to scale and grow as an organization by adding the things in when you need them and leveling up to you don't need custom modules, then you don't need enterprise, maybe, right? But knowing that it's there for you when you level up the way you're optimizing your HubSpot and your tech stack for your business. So the modular growth availabilities for mid-market kind clients and prospects is going to be really huge when they're evaluating different tech stacks. Specifically, you mentioned that multi-account management, which is in Marketing Hub Enterprise. So you do need enterprise for that.
Mhm.
It is going to drive so much value for organizations that have multiple brands, right? That we're selling multiple brands, or for like franchises or other types of multi-location organizations. And I'd love to double click into that a little bit because I agree with you. I think it is one of the most valuable outputs in the Spring Spotlight. And so there were like a few main features I'd love to share that I think were like the most impactful when it came to multi-account management. So there's an organization configuration. So we're talking about a centralized space. So just to give like a historical engaged reference for anyone who's maybe new to HubSpot or doesn't understand this, how it would impact their business. There used to be like, if you will, firewalls in between accounts, right? So if I had a franchise and I had 10 locations, every location has its own HubSpot instance and nobody talks to each other because of the firewall. And so, what this multi account management feature is going to do is drop those firewalls so that you're able to report data over globally all of my accounts, or maybe just two. I want to see how two franchises are doing against each other. It's going to allow you to not only share that data, but asset copying. So,
Mhm.
this landing page for company A, gangbusters, right? It did so good. We got a lot of inbound leads from it. We're going to try to company D. You can just sync that information over. So the workload is going to be less for your team. We're that fast, right? And more unified because you're going to be able to see across brands and across locations really how things are going and make better decisions for your sales and marketing and service teams across your entire organization.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, you can see the value there, in like you say, again, leaning into how fast and efficiently you can do that. So just, to me, sort of the overarching message here was really the the efficiency and productivity that all these new features are going to be driving. And I think the one you just highlighted is a perfect one where you can, copy assets from one business to another. I mean, that is huge. And the fact that you can have, the same data in multiple accounts now, again, it just saves so much time and creates so much more efficiency. And I think ultimately it also creates a far better customer experience when let's just say a customer goes to more than one location of the same brand. They all the information is there about them when they arrive. I think that's, I mean, the value there is, I think, is almost priceless. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I also think of it, well, always come back to my seat in sales, right? It's like if I know, Brendan, that you're buying A, B, and C at another location, I'm going to maybe see if you want to buy it from our location the next time you come in, right? Being able to cross sell, upsell, and really treat your customers as a whole person versus just what you know about them from your email chain. It
Yeah.
just grows the knowledge of the users in HubSpot so that you can make better choices, have better conversations and really enhance the customer experience.
Yeah, yeah. Again, yeah. So the ultimate uh, goal there, of course, is customer experience, and how you do that is just these tools allow everybody to create better personalization, for every single customer, no matter where they are in their journey, or now whichever location they are in their journey.
Yeah. And we also didn't mention like the internal collaboration. So you get better internal collaboration, right? From your service, your marketing, your sales teams to maybe come up with new marketing ideas or to make, and we'll talk about the AI agents, I think, in a little bit, but how do we perform faster for our clients and free up our time to then be more collaborative internally to help drive larger business initiatives outside of being in the weeds, right, with our clients, and help. There are things we'll talk about that like HubSpot can do now for you, so you can do other things as a team.
Yeah, really good call out. And of course that drives home that whole unified piece. So again, there's just we're breaking down even more silos than we were before. I think HubSpot has always been a leader in helping companies break down the silos that they have between teams, between the different data, the different technology that they're using. This is just breaks down even more silos and creates that more unification, which of course in turn then also speeds things up and makes for a better employee and customer experience. Yeah.
And brand consistency on top of that, right? Like, especially when we're talking about franchises or multiple location businesses, having the ability to have the same visual brand messaging to your clients is huge when it comes into value and trust of your product. And this again, breaking down those firewalls and allowing for cross content collaboration and usage is going to really drive home a stronger brand messaging for organizations who choose to take advantage of this.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things that wasn't really highlighted, but I think really plays well into this is so HubSpot's acquisition late last year of Cashflow and how that's being built into the Commerce Hub. All the businesses that can now benefit from this multi-account management. Can you imagine, like, if they now have the new functionality that's coming in from Commerce Hub, where a customer might be subscribed at one location, but now if they go to another location, you just know that the future is that it doesn't matter where you use our brand or our product or our service, we'll take care of the billing, and there's it's just removing all that friction that might exist for a lot of companies right now. So
yeah, I think overall these spring spotlight updates are so customer focused, not HubSpot customer, but end user customer focused, which only makes this product, that HubSpot product, more ingrown and intertwined in your organization, because ultimately it's driving better results for your customers.
yeah, no, it's really cool stuff. So Jackie, so let's say I'm a marketing leader at a materials manufacturing company with 5 brands. How would these updates, sort of make things faster using the HubSpot Fast, but which to me means more efficiency, more productivity in the way that I run my business going forward?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and industry specific. I think this can also spread other industries as well, but I know our focus is kind of around manufacturers, and I really have seen like what I think will be 5 ways. Some of them we've touched on, but really 5 ways in which you can run your team faster, quote unquote, right? There's gonna be less chaos, like we said, right? So you'll have more clarity, no more siloed campaigns. Everything is in one place. There's going to be an efficiency boost, I believe, with shared templates and campaigns and assets. So we're going to save time, reduce duplicate work, right? The smarter reporting across the board. So we're going to be able to compare performance across brands, and allocate our resources better for growth and better ROI. There's going to be better collaboration, like we've already talked about, right? So regional marketers can work independently, right? Focusing on their brand, but staying aligned with the overall overarching brand strategy, helping to drive home, that branding across locations. And I can share like an example, right, of how a regional marketing manager can launch campaigns using like HQ approved templates. Wow, HQ is like in real time able to identify what campaigns are doing better because they're now having access to dashboards that show data from locations A through E, right? And so we're getting real time feedback to help us make better decisions about what is and isn't working to again help us in a faster way go to market with updated campaigns and new opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very cool. So moving on from sort of all those really powerful features in Marketing Hub Enterprise, you alluded to one of the other big announcements, which is again the updates to HubSpot's AI. So they launched I guess some of them had been launched before and were in beta, but the 4 agents that they talked about were the customer agent, the knowledge base agent, the content agent, and the prospecting agent, which is I know is still in beta too. What are you most excited about when it comes to the agents that are now being, more that are really becoming more powerful every single day that they're being used in HubSpot?
Well, we joked when we were in person last week, Brendan, that I don't, for some reason, felt like I'm a late adopter to the chat GPTs of the world, right? To AI tools. And I've been trying really hard to utilize them in my personal and professional life, since we all spoke about it, because they really can make a significant impact in how you're working, your efficiency, your speed. And just like, sometimes you can't cross collaborate with your team, but like this gives you an opportunity to do so on your own. And so I'm very excited about these AI agents because not only is it the chat GPT kind of feeling that I've been using externally, it's in the CRM. So like it's incredible because first of all, it's right in there where you're working. You don't have to leave. You don't have to go anywhere else. But what I love is that what we know, I should say, is that 80% of customer data is like trapped in our HubSpot instances, very siloed in an unstructured way where we can't pivot table them, we can't cross check them or anything. And I think the biggest impact, well, what I thought was the coolest, I should say, is in like knowledge base and customer support, where we can see the questions that people are asking and know what kind of data and supporting documents we have in knowledge base to then the agent can say to us like, hey, Jackie, a lot of people are asking how to like what their password is. They forgot what their password is. They need to reset it. You need to create something that we can automatically send to them when they ask that question. So what we're doing there is removing some of these like tasks that our service and customer service and success teams are having to do on a regular basis, and then putting automations and flags in place that say, if they get past this step, give them to a human and let us do a high touch opportunity where we can reach out to this person and help them with whatever question they have. But things like that, like repetitive questions or, gaps of knowledge that we know people are searching for but can't find on your website is going to give the team actionable steps that they can take to produce better content that we know people want in real time, and also use the agents in Content Hub to create that content for you, like at the snap of a finger. So all of these tools are working together in a unified way to quickly produce content to help solve problems that you may not have even realized were there. And I just think that is so super cool, specifically in mid-market where you may not have a giant marketing team or a giant customer service team who has the capability to be doing all of these things all day. You're going to feel like a more powerful team with more people on your team by using these AI agents. And the best part is that your customers will also feel that that they are being taken care of, even if it's coming from like an AI generated, piece of software.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's almost like you're giving every person on your team and like a personal assistant or multiple multiple assistants to do specific things. And again, which comes back to sort of my overarching takeaway from all of this is it just increases efficiency and productivity. And of course, when you do that, you're increasing your employee experience, and of course, you're improving your customer experience by doing all these things.
It's touching on so many different needs, I think, where, we know that employees don't want to log into multiple tech stacks, right? They want to feel like they are doing exciting work. And when you're sending emails every day about, I forgot my password, right? It can be kind of mundane and frustrating. And I think it's putting like employees in a position to be more collaborative and to, get more creative in their roles when they know that their executive assistant, their AI agents are kind of doing the things for them in the back that can be sometimes draining on them. And they can focus on more exciting, parts of their jobs.
Sure. And it's, and just helping them be more proactive. I mean, like to the example that you used, with your agent, and take your pick, can tell you, I keep getting this question. They can tell you proactively, we need to create a piece of content around that. Would you like me to, have content agent create that content, or, pull it from our unstructured data and create it? It's just, it's crazy
It's
to think.
incredible.
Yeah.
It's a wild world, but I think it's really exciting, and I can't wait to see not only how we use it internally, but how we're helping our clients when we go through onboarding and implementation as part of our adoption and training. When we do our implementations for our clients, like showing them this is just going to provide so much value. It's going to be really exciting. So, and this spring spotlight, I think so far, I mean, yes, it's been unified. Yes, it's been fast. Like all these really great points that HubSpot is driving home, like from a rollout perspective. I really think that the end user, the client that our clients are serving, it's all really focused on giving your customers the best experience possible. And I think that's super exciting.
Right. So I guess for me, the three big buckets in the announcement, other than what we've already talked about, around, productivity and efficiency, which is the overarching theme, but, were the Marketing Hub Enterprise announcements that we've talked about, then the AI and specifically the agents that we were just talking about, and then the third and final bucket for me was workspaces.
Oh yeah.
And so they talked about three specific workspaces.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The sales workspace, the help desk workspace, and the customer success workspace. Which you started alluding to this now in a minute ago, where those are the workspaces where the folks using those workspaces can also then use the agents to help them do their work every day.
Yes, and I've been using the sales workspace for quite some time. It is my like tried and true. It is my executive assistant, right? So when I log into HubSpot every day, I go to my sales workspace and I can see my leads, my deal pipeline, any tasks, my calendar. It gives me recommendations on people I should call or email. It's like telling me, like, hey, Jackie, don't forget about this person that you said you were going to email. Or it'll say something like, you emailed them 4 days ago. Do you want to follow up? It is the best executive assistant I've never paid for, right? And so I really love Workspace. And then I'm to a member of our team who is much more technical in nature than I am. And I said, I'd really like to see a list of my clients that could do this and a list of my clients that could do that. And he came back to me and he was like, well, how about the customer success workspace? And I hadn't even known it was really there. And I know they've added some really cool features to it, right? This in this spring spotlight. But the customer success workspace is going to give you a really holistic picture of your relationships with your clients. And what they released, which I think is very exciting, is health scores. So you can think of it as like a number where you get to say what's important to you and your organization. For example, like the number of support tickets, surveys they've filled out, engagement with emails, right? There's a whole host of things you can add into your health score. You can then see, how are your clients doing? Is there a client at risk of churn? Is there a client who maybe we should reach out to for a review or a 5-star recommendation, right? It gives your team the capability to understand what is happening within your book of business at like a very high level, and then double click into specific accounts that might need either assistance or you just want to check in and say hi because things are going great. And so the customer success workspace is going to be super valuable.
Wow. So I guess, we've covered all of those. I think those are kind of was there anything else that sort of stood out to you, or have we covered everything at least at a higher level?
Yeah, I think the last one I would touch on is the help desk workspace. Right. That's going to give us customer history, product usage data, right? If you're more of a SaaS focused product, and then really great AI suggestions. And they, in the Spring Spotlight, launched some new features for the help desk workspace. Those being custom channels, which are great for if you have industries or regions. So, or locations, different locations, being able to see like within the workspace in each individual channel. They've added ticket timelines, right? So like how long has a ticket been open for? So we can understand how our ticket pipeline is progressing and maybe make changes there. And then the Breeze suggested replies, which we talked a little bit about in the knowledge-based AI agent, also going to be in your help desk workspace to say, hey, you get a lot of this question. Maybe we should put something together so that we can respond promptly to our clients. So I think that's super cool. And unifying the AI agent with the workspaces, that's really where the muscles start growing and churning. And you kind of have to put it all together in that workspace visually, and you can kind of see how everything is going to work for you.
Yeah. No, so much good stuff. So that was like, I guess, a very high level overview of, I think, the big takeaways for me. Was there anything else that you think we should add at this point?
I don't think so.
What we could potentially do, at another time in the next, couple of weeks, is see if there's something, as we start using and building some of these new tools out for our clients, is maybe just, do some more in-depth, discussion around some of these in more detail. But I think this was a really good overview for folks who just wanted a quick 25 to 30-minute summary of what happened in the HubSpot 2025 Spring Spotlight, of all the HubSpot. Well, there were over 200 additions to the HubSpot product. These are just some of the big ones that are
Yeah. And we can double click into these agents, like you said, as we begin to utilize them ourselves and help our clients kind of flesh them out in their own instances. It'd be great to circle back and share some use cases and best practices that we begin developing.
Yes. Well, and I guess maybe sort of a PS is, so this came yesterday, so 6 days after the Spring Spotlight announcements, which was HubSpot's acquisition of Dashworks, which will essentially be built into HubSpot's Breeze and AI functionality, which again is just going to, if when you and I chat in let's just say 6 months from now about all the AI pieces of this, it's just going to be, they're going to, the product's going to be doing stuff that we cannot even imagine at this point.
I saw Kyle Jepson do a HubSpot product update. I think it was on this, but he was talking about how like you're going to be able to identify like potential buyers or interested parties who weren't even on your website in HubSpot. They don't have to come to your website to show up in HubSpot. And I think it's another beta feature that's happening right now. I'll find the link and we can add it into the show notes when we post this. But just like some really incredible things are happening, and HubSpot is at the forefront and of it all.
Yeah, no, very cool. Well, Jackie Pfriender, thanks so much for joining me and sharing, with our audience the HubSpot 2025 Spring Spotlight updates.
It was my pleasure.